Ikar kavanat haboreh, the main purpose for which the Creator sent the spies, lishloach anashim yireim ushlemim, to send people who are perfect, who are spiritual. Asher kol magamatam avodat haboreh, their entire work was spiritual work. Velo chas v'shalom latur et Eretz Yisrael gashmutea shel eretz. Their job was not, as they thought and even as they heard, to look at the physicality of the land. The Creator told Moses, Lishloach avdei Hashem, to send spiritual people, that they should go there and they should pray and they should study, they should do spiritual work. And then, B'Torah u'Tfilah, להמשיך חיות ושפע מהארץ עליונה לארץ תחתונה, to, through their spiritual work, awaken light from the upper worlds to flow down into the physical land of Israel. בכדי שהארץ בעצמו תתעווה שיבואו בני אברהם, יצחק ויעקב. So that when the land, the physical land, will taste the supernal light that these 12 people, these 12 spiritual giants, awakened and drew down into the land will then want and desire for the whole Israelites to come into the land, and then their entry would be peaceful and would be perfect. So we see here that there are two things going on. There is what the spies thought their job was, and there is really what the job was. And we see that the two were completely almost opposite. They believed, and the physical story let them believe, that their job was to look at the land, look at the people, come up with plans, come up with ideas, when really their job was to pray, to study, to awaken light, and that awakening would have made the land desire the Israelites to come in, and that would have enabled them to come in peacefully and perfectly. But because they were sure that they knew what their job was, because they knew that their job was to come back and give an answer about the land, they messed it all up. Because they came back and they told the truth, and they shared and they completed their task. And because they did what they thought they were supposed to do, they made it so that they stayed 40 years in the desert, and as the Kabbalists teach us, all the exile that we're still in stems from that mistake. And if we think about it, we all make this mistake all the time. We all have a certain clear idea about what our job is, what we are meant to do. And what we have to become awakened to from this week's portion is that the chances are that what we think our job is has nothing to do with what our job is. And if we are bound to what we think we are meant to do, we are going to mess it all up completely. Not only will it take us longer to figure out or to do the right thing, if we become tied to what we think we are meant to do, spiritually, physically true as well, but spiritually, we mess everything up. If you went to the spies, they're there for 40 days, you wait, and like on the 10th day, and they're praying shacharit, and they're kind of in a rush, and you ask them, why are you in a rush? Don't you think you should reveal light? Yeah, it's important to reveal light every morning, but our job, Moses and God, send us here for a very important job. We have to go out and look at the cities. I can't waste too much time in my prayers this morning or in my studies, because my job is, God told me, Moses told me what my job is. They told me my job is to go and look at the land and prepare reports and come up with ideas. This is my job. How stupid! Now, with our true perspective, which Rav Levi Tzadok Berditchev gives us, they're ridiculous. They put so much little time, so little emphasis on really what their job was in those 40 days, and they focused on what they thought they were told to do. And because of that, they died, forced the Israelites to be in the desert for 40 years, and we're all, because we're all part of that, still paying for that mistake. If you think about this for a moment, you realize how dangerous it is to know what we are supposed to do. How dangerous it is to think that we know what we're supposed to do. I was speaking to one of the chevra a few weeks ago in a center, and he was, we're sort of talking about, how it's going, the difficulties, etc., etc. And then I said something which is, of course, related to this, and this is something for us to remember all the time. We should never think that what we think we're doing is what we're actually doing, and two, that what we think we should be doing is what we should be doing. Because if we have any of those two thoughts, we are the spies. The spies fell because they were told by God and Moses, and therefore they knew what their job was. And because they knew what their job was, they focused on it and owned it. And they did the best physical spying job that they could do. They completely disregarded the idea, which was the real purpose of their journey, to awaken the light in the land, so that, as the Kedushat Levi explains, their entry will be easy. They focused on what they believed, because that's what they were told by God and Moses, their job to do. And because they were focused on it, and they did it perfectly, they died. They caused the Israelites to stay in the desert for 40 years, and we are still in exile because of that mistake. And it is that opening of darkness that still hits every single one of us, every single day. Every day when we wake up, when we think we're certain what we're supposed to do, and if anybody comes in, or a situation happens that bothers my plan, or my clarity of what I need to do, I get upset, or I get bothered, I'm a spy. Every time I'm disturbed by my plan not being worked out, every time I'm disturbed by somebody upsetting what I know I need to do, I'm the spies. Every single time we forget that the chances are that what we need to be doing is not what we think we're doing, we're the spies. And we perpetuate that darkness and that exile. And therefore the great awakening, which we have to really, again, it's one of those things that, but really know and believe and live, is that, I wake up this morning, I think I should be doing A, B, C, and D. But I also know with as much clarity that there's a very good chance that that's absolutely not what I'm supposed to be doing today. And therefore, if something happens that upsets that plan, great. Because I have no ownership on this plan. This is my stupid plan. Even if God or Moses told me, it still would be my stupid plan. And if something comes in and breaks it up, fine. But if I get upset, if I'm bothered, why did he do that? Why did she do that? Why did this happen? What about my great plan? Then we're the spies. And then we're perpetuating darkness and exile. Because again, our ego tells us that our plans are going to get us there. Our logic, our thoughts, as Rav Ashlag calls them, he calls them tachbulot enoshiyot, are the human. What's a good word for English? Anybody have tachbula? Like, not tricks, but sort of. What? No, it's a really good, strong word for what? Schemes. Yes, our human schemes. It says Rav Ashlag is talking about the famous section in the Zohar where it says "V'amaskilim yazhiru." It speaks about Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai when he came together with his students to reveal the light of the Zohar. So he says, he quotes the Zohar, "Kaditkanshu leme'ebad haychibura," when they gathered together to prepare to reveal this light. Reshute it Yahivlon, they were given permission. Uleliyahu imhon, and Elijah the prophet with them. Ulechol nishmatim, ulechol malachi, and all the souls of the righteous and all the angels came and gathered with them for this revelation. Rav Ashlag explains, Shelo kol harotze litol et Hashem yavo v'yitol. Not everybody can reveal light. Machmat sherazin deoraita, because the secrets of the Torah, the light of the Creator, lo yusku b'derech iyun. You cannot gain wisdom, true wisdom, through study, through understanding. V'kol tachbulot ha'enoshiyot, and all of our thoughts and schemes and plans will never get us to the light of the Creator, will never give us the ability to reveal. Zulat, the only way, al yedei dvekut Ba'Hashem Yitbarach, through simple cleaving to the light of the Creator, which is the opposite of planning, which is the opposite of schemes. But if you merit, he says, Rav Ashlag says, he says, forget about your mind, forget about your schemes, forget about your plans. That will never bring you to Razin Deoraita, to a true connection to the light of the Creator. But only through a simple cleaving to the light of the Creator. But if you merit that, he says, Zochin lehafla'a hagdola, you merit a great revelation. Sheyeh hashchina medaberet mitoch grono, that you merit for the light of the Creator to flow through your mouth, to flow through you. Leha'arat panav yitbarach, to the shining of the light of the Creator to you. Shemodia sodot lireav, and the Creator will reveal His secrets to those who are close to Him. Ubal hakerem yodea taluchot hakerem, because only the Creator knows the plan. Umodia lekedaim leida, and He lets know, He reveals it to those who merit it, but not through wisdom, and not through thought, and not through planning. And He says, ulene'eman bait, and when a person, the Creator, sees that a person is simple in his connection, that he does not have these great plans for himself, notnim lo reshut latzet velavo, then he is given permission to come and go, lifnei am kadosh b'mistarin de malka, and he gets to enter and see the great secrets of the Creator. All this leads back, last week's portion we spoke about the Aish Moshe Anav Meod, Rav Ashlag's amazing revelation. I'll share with you something quick. And this isn't, well, I'll share another time with the Chevra. So as I was preparing for this week, in my mind, so we spoke about humility last week, but then literally every book of the Kabbalah that you open up speaks about humility. So then I realized that there's obviously more that we need to awaken. And I'd like to share with you something from the Zera Kodesh. Rabbi Naftali of Rufshitz, very famous Kabbalist, from the students on the line of the Baal Shem Tov. He says, what is this week's portion all about? When Moses is sending these leaders, he's saying to them, because it's connected to how they felt, that the only hope that they had, they lost it, but the only hope that they had was to awaken true humility. Because the point that we just spoke about, which is being able to let go of our plans and our logic, has to do with humility. If we had true humility, we wouldn't have plans. We wouldn't have logic. But we have the plans and logic because we don't really develop. We don't really develop humility. The portion begins, the Creator says to Moshe, send people. V'yaturu et eretz Canaan. And they should, literally it means they should look at the land of Canaan. Now it's interesting that, and the Zera Kodesh will explain, why is the land of Israel referred to as the land of Canaan? It's not often that the Torah, certainly Moses, refers to it as the land of Canaan. He says, Matzinu ma'alat midat hachna'a ve'anava hu aole b'ma'ala al kol ha'ma'alot ve'amidot. The most important aspect of ourselves that we have to develop is humility and hachna'ah, which is this level of surrender. There is nothing more important. There is nothing more important that we have to develop. Moshe Rabbeinu, we know as we learned last week, how did he achieve anything? It was only because his focus, when he woke up every morning, and this really is what this week's portion has to awaken within us. When we wake up every morning, what's our first thought? What it needs to be? How can I make myself more humble today? What can I do? It's not how I can make myself wiser, how I can study more, or even how I can help people more. The first question that we have to ask ourselves every morning is, how can I make myself more humble today? V'zeh ma'alat Eretz Yisrael. The gift of the land of Israel, both the spiritual land of Israel and the physical land of Israel, is one thing, is that it can awaken this level of humility. And that's why it's called the land of Canaan, milashon hachna'ah, The word Canaan in Hebrew is similar to the word for surrender. So Moshe is telling us, right? Moshe is speaking to us on the Shabbat. He's saying, what you need to do on this Shabbat is enter the land of surrender. Enter the land of humility. וכן גורם היטב הזה להיושבים בה. And it has the ability, the spiritual ability, to awaken humility within those who live there. וזה שאמר משה למרגלים, and this is what Moses said to the spies, שיתנו ליבם לזה, that they should pay attention, להבין מעלה הנפלאה שגורם טבע הארץ הזאת, that they should become awakened to understand the single important aspect of this land is that it can awaken within you this humility. And therefore, as you read the next, and the Zohar Kodesh explains all the next words in the Torah, את העם היושב בה החזק הוא הרפה, שהחזק הוא מחזיק את עצמו לרפה. It says, literally, the people who live there, are they strong or weak? What the Zohar Kodesh is explaining is that if you really connected to the land of Israel, then even if you're strong, you see yourself as weak. And even if you have strength or achieved any amount of light, you never awaken it, never think about it. Hame'at hu imrav. Literally it says, are there many there or a few? And he explains, she'af kshehu rav machzik atzmo harav le'me'at. Those who merit to enter into the land of Israel, the spiritual land of Israel, are those who, even if they've achieved, view themselves as a little. V'zeu hayesh ba'etz im ayin. And it says, see if there's a tree or if there isn't. Shetiru v'tavinu, you should come there and see. Im ha'adam kasher hazeh machzik atzmo ke'ayin. Anybody who's truly connected to the land of Israel, which is the Etz HaChaim, the tree of life, views himself as nothing. Nimtza shezeh haya ikar hashlichut. This was the purpose of Moses sending them. Latur v'lirot teva haaretz hahu shegoremet tiv'a lema'ala nifla'a hachna'a ve'anava. What was supposed to be awakened, and what is awakened on this Shabbat, is this understanding that the only way to enter into the land of Israel, meaning the supernal connection, is by awakening this constant hachna'a, this constant surrender and humility. וזה שאמר שלח לך אנשים ויתורו את ארץ כנען שהוא מלשון הכנעה שיבינו מעלת הכנעה שהמקום גורם. The purpose of this Shabbat, the purpose of the sending, was to awaken them to see what is the land of Israel. It is the land of surrender. It is the land of humility. And of course the spies weren't able to. They weren't able to connect to the land of Israel. And therefore the 40 days and the death, it wasn't so much a punishment. When we understand what he's saying, it wasn't so much they were punished, it was just a reality. If you have not awakened, if your life's focus is not awakening humility, if you do not understand that the only way to enter into the promised land, to enter into the supernal land of Israel, the Etz HaChaim, is through a constant drive towards being more humble and having more humility and more surrender, then of course there's death. Then of course you can never enter. Then of course this exile remains forever and this darkness remains forever. It's not a punishment, it's cause and effect. And therefore this Shabbat for us has to be a renewed awakening of humility. And it says in the beginning of this week's portion that Moses renames Yehoshua. His name was without the Yud. He did not have a Yud in his name. And it says that Moshe called Hoshea bin Nun, whose name was Hoshea without the Yud, he called him Yehoshua. Now, Rabbi Yonatan Uziel, who translated with a commentary the Torah into Aramaic, says something very interesting. If you read the literal words, it says, Vayikra Moshe leHoshea bin Nun Yoshua. As if out of nowhere, suddenly Moshe, as he's counting the 12 spies, he says, you know what, Hoshea, your name is now Yehoshua. Yonatan Uziel says, Uchedichama Moshe Anvatanutei, when Moshe saw that out of all the 12 spies, the only one who really had humility was Yehoshua, Kara leHoshea bar Nun Yehoshua. Then the Creator gave him the name Yehoshua, and Rashi explains, Hitpalel alav. This changing of the name wasn't simply a changing of the name, but it was a prayer and a blessing. Yud Kei, Yah, Yoshiacha me'atzat meraglim. May you be saved from the falling of the spies. And the question is, what is the connection between the humility of Yoshua, of Joshua, and the prayer for Moshe? Did Moshe not care for the other 11 spies? We know at least Caleb was also a good guy, right? Caleb also didn't fall. Why did Moshe only pray for Yoshua? Why didn't he at least also pray for Caleb? Why didn't he pray for all 12 that they shouldn't fall? And the answer is, and this is an amazing realization, again, hopefully all this really awakens within us a strong desire to kill our ego. Blessings cannot be given to a person who is not killing his ego. Moshe could have wanted to bless all the 11 other spies. But if they did not have humility, which he saw they did not, and therefore he sent them on the land to Israel, there's no purpose to pray for them. Because no prayer, no assistance, no blessings can come to a person who is not constantly working on his humility. And therefore Yonatan ben Uziel tells us, only Moshe looked at all 12 and said, do any of them have humility? He saw only Hoshea bin Nun had it. He says, okay, for you I can pray. To you I can give blessings. If a person is not working on humility, is not working on surrender, no blessings, no prayers can come to him. And I'd like to share this so much. The Arvei Nachal on this week's portion speaks about this so much. I want to share a few ideas. First of all, he quotes the Talmud in Yerushalmi, which promises, Shemi sheyesh bo midat anava, whoever has humility, muftach me'Hashem yitbarach shelo yigulgal. He is promised, the Creator promises, that he will finish his correction in this incarnation. Nobody else. You could be studying all day, you could be praying all day, you could be meditating all day, you could be helping people all day, you could be doing all kinds of things your entire life. You're still not guaranteed to finish your correction in this incarnation. There's only one thing the Creator promises. If you're focused on life, when you wake up in the morning, the first thing you think about is, how can I make myself more humble today? Then the Creator promises that person will finish his correction in this incarnation. Hamitgaeh, if a person has ego, it's a famous section in the Talmud, in Sotah, we all know this. Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, ein ani v'hu yacholin ladur b'mechitza achat. If a person has ego, the Creator says, I cannot be with that same person. There cannot be a connection to the light of the Creator if a person has ego. But the Arvei Nachal goes further. He says, Utfilato me'usa. Any prayers that a person with ego makes, it is pushed aside. She'ina yechola lavo b'mechitzato shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. A prayer of a person who has ego, or at least not working to finish off his ego, to awaken constant and greater humility, his prayer cannot come before the Creator. It remains in this world. A person with ego can pray all day and all night. It will never leave this world. It will never enter before the Creator. It cannot enter the supernal worlds. Because just like a person who has ego cannot be in the same place where the Creator is, so too the prayer of a person who has ego cannot be in the same place where the Creator is. He says, when there are many evil people in the world who have ego, what ego does when there's an awakening of ego in this world, it pushes the Shekhinah, it pushes the light of the Creator to the upper worlds. When a person has ego, that cloud of ego pushes out the light of the Creator. When there's a lot of ego in the world, when these clouds of ego become greater and greater, והשגחתו של השם יתברך בזה העולם הוא רק מעט מזעיר כדי חיונו של עולם. When there's too much ego in the world, there's a tremendous diminishment of the light of the Creator in this world. And therefore it says in כל ההולך בקומה זקופה כאילו דוחק רגלי השכינה. It says if a person walks upright, which means if a person walks with ego, he pushes the legs of the Shekhinah, the light of the Creator, up into the supernal worlds. ולא נשאר בזה העולם רק בחינת רגליים מהקדושה. כי הקדושה והגאות הם בית הפכים. Because ego and holiness, ego and the light of the Creator are two opposite things. Again, he goes on, and there's a lot more on this, but what I want to really awaken is the fact that no prayer, no blessing, no light can come to a person who has ego. Now what do? All of us have ego. But at least if you're trying every day and every night to finish your ego, to diminish it, then you can come to the Creator and you say, you know what? I realize it's disgusting and it's terrible, but I'm trying. Then the Creator will give you blessings. Then the Creator will accept your prayer. But if you come before the Creator, it's like, use a simple example. If a person, is coming in front of the king and his clothes are dirty, right? But he's late to see the king, so he runs into the king, and the king sees that he's trying to clean his clothes off to be at least be presentable. The king says, it's really disrespectful. You're coming in front of me with filthy clothes, but I see it bothers you and you're trying to clean it. Okay, come in anyway. But can you imagine somebody who comes into the king and he's, not only does he have dirt on his clothes, but as he's walking in, he's putting up some more filth on his, putting some mustard and some dirt here, coming into the king like this. Of course, the king will kick him out right away. What kind of thing is this? Not only are you being disrespectful, but in front of me, it doesn't even bother you? So although it says in the Midrash and the Kabbalists explain that there's no hope, forget about, there's no purpose to pray or to ask for blessings or to try to reveal light when we still have ego, there's still hope. If we're always with that consciousness, I know that because of my disgusting ego, I shouldn't be praying. I know that because of my disgusting ego, I shouldn't even be asking for blessings. But I'm trying. When I wake up in the morning, my only thought is, please help me finish this disgusting ego off. I try throughout my day to find ways to diminish my ego. I try to learn from the spies and be awakened that the only way to enter into the Eretz Yisrael, enter the tree of life, is by finishing off my ego. I'm trying. Then the Creator says, okay, pray. Okay, you can receive some blessings. Okay, you can reveal some light. But to also have the ego, and also not to be working tirelessly to finish it off, and also think that we can pray and we can receive blessings and we can reveal light, that's impossible. And again, one of the greatest awakenings on this Shabbat is this understanding that, as the Rabbi Uziel says, when Moshe wanted to bring blessings, Moshe wanted to pray, but he said there's no point in praying for anybody as long as there's still that ego. But when he saw that Yehoshua, now was Yehoshua perfect at this point? Maybe he was, but that's not important. But he was working on it. When he saw that Hoshea bin Nun was working on the ego, out of the 12, he was the one. He said, okay, you I can bless. You I can pray for. And the awakening for us, as the Zera Kodesh of Naftali of Rushitz teaches us, the only way to enter into the tree of life is by constant diminishing of our ego. Number one priority beyond anything else. And if we merit to truly know that, not just know it, but to truly know it and live it and make that our priority beyond anything else, then we merit to enter into the land of Israel, then we merit to be able to receive blessings and assistance and prayers. B'ezrat Hashem. Shabbat Shalom.